For some reason, the song All My Exes Live in Texas is running through my head today. But fear not. Even though the Rangers aren't in Texas right now, they ain't changing their license plates out. They're just on a brief stop in Arizona before heading home. Let's talk about what the latest is from Surprise next. It's the DLLS Rangers Podcast. Things can get rocky in Arizona. It's hard soil. It's sandy and rocky, and there are pebbles everywhere. And you know what? Kumar Rocker might have encountered a pebble or two yesterday as he pitched his first Cactus League game. Hi, welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers Podcast with Rads, me, John Radigan, and J-Dub, him, Jeff Wilson. We got Elijah over here. You hear our Cowboys crew in the background. I got to give a shout-out before we get going on baseball to our Mavericks crew from last night, Bobby Corella and Tim Cato and Kevin Gray, and Jesse was a part of that thing last night. A great job covering the Luka game from Los Angeles. And if you didn't get my reference, maybe you didn't see the commercial, but Nike came out with a brilliant commercial showing Luka switching the license plate on his car from a Texas plate to a California plate. No words. And then just the song at the end, All My Exes Live in Texas.
Yeah.
And when I saw the Prophet's great little headline on the banner today, I thought, Kumar Rocker's kind of in a rock and a hard place. Nothing like Nico. But it was nice. It was nice to see the Lakers fans show Nico some love. And they began chanting, "Thank you, Nico," in the game yesterday. So he's got to feel welcome and happy, and it warmed his heart a little bit, I'm sure.
Well, he hasn't been getting cheered at home, so
no.
Go on the road to get some
Gotta
cheers
go out
for you.
And get that love.
Yep.
So anyway, we won't talk a whole lot about the Mavs unless you demand it in the chat. We want you to chat, please. We want you to also like us and subscribe to us if you haven't already. We can always use more likes, and certainly if you haven't subscribed, what the heck's taking you so long? You need to. And let's talk about yesterday in spring training activity yesterday, Cactus League play. We'd been waiting. We'd been awaiting the first game started by Kumar Rocker. And Jeff, he only made one inning, 4 runs, 4 hits, 1 strikeout. It was swinging, but he didn't have a great first outing.
No, and that's all right. The first outing, these guys generally aren't judged on their first outing or their second outing in some cases for starting pitchers. But at some point they're going to be judged, and we'll see how he rebounds. That'll be important. What adjustments did he make? Was there something particularly not good that he could easily fix? Because they do through bullpen sessions still in spring training, getting ahead of their starts, still trying to build up the arm strength and all that stuff. So we'll see how he rebounds, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. He's going to be a good starting pitcher. The question then becomes, well, where is he going to start? And he is competing for a spot in the rotation, but it really, and I've felt this way for a while, that Cody Bradford's going to be that guy. So I always say we'll see how it plays itself out, and we will, but I don't think that the Rangers are going to hold this against him.
Sure.
And then it's that second and third one that he'll have to show a little something to get going.
Yeah, and look, that said, these guys are all competitors, and I'm sure that Kumar, he's not super experienced with these sort of spring training warm-up games at this juncture. He hasn't been around the pro game for that long. So it probably got at him. But if you listen to his post-game comments that were shared with us by Victory, our friends over at Victory, you hear that he has learned and or been trained to keep this in perspective. Here's Kumar.
Yeah, if I have the opportunity to make the team, that'd be great. If not, prepare myself to pitch a long part of the season, contribute in some kind of way, and early stages of it, but I feel really good. It's what you sign up for, and you got to go out there and you got to perform, and everyone has their stages on how they get there, and I'm in the early stages, and I feel good. I'm excited to perform and even have a chance.
Yeah, so, saying the right things and believing them, I think. It's not these aren't just hollow words. He may, again, they're all competitive. He may be feeling a little, by the same token, he knows that this one start means almost nothing in the big picture scheme of things.
Right, and every pitcher has a different process, and sometimes the process takes a while. I remember Zach Greinke being just awful in spring training for the Royals there. My first couple of years on the beat, and then his last start, he 7 shutout innings. He just had it figured out. And there have been pitchers who have come to the Rangers as free agents or trades, and early on they'll say, "Look, I'm just going to tell you, I'm terrible in spring training." Knowing that in past stops, people have seen his spring performances and been like, "Oh my God, what are we doing signing this guy?" Or "What are we going to do with him?" And everything's come out in the wash just fine. So, but it is different for Kumar in that he is a rookie and he has the expectations, and people have predicted he could be a Rookie of the Year candidate, and he still could be even if he doesn't start the year in the majors. Paul Skeens last year, Rookie of the Year in the National League, started in the minors. So don't be surprised, and I've been saying it for a while, if Rocker starts in the minors. He's got 11 2/3 big league innings in his career. Those 3 starts weren't great. And so anyway, he is inexperienced. But to your point about the polish, I mean, he's been in the spotlight since he was a high school senior.
Yep.
And then to Vanderbilt, where he's awesome as a freshman, and then COVID happened, and then 21 was a tough year for him in terms of the draft and having to go back into the draft when the Mets didn't sign him. His dad is a NFL football coach, so he probably has been schooled on the right things to say, but also has perspective. I'm sure his dad's had to make some tough cuts in his lifetime, and or been part of them. And Kumar Rocker's future is in the Rangers rotation. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, and it's funny when you were mentioning that about all his pedigree and his past. How many players in any sport, and baseball's really one of the few actually where you can get drafted in multiple years, right? You can get drafted right out of high school, and then, of course, after a couple of years in college or however that works. He was a first-round draft pick twice.
Yeah.
There can't be very many that have been first-round draft picks twice.
Right. And he would have been a first-round pick coming out of high school, except he was really committed to Vanderbilt. Yeah. And hey, don't forget about the Vanderbilt education, too. Those Vandy guys always seem a little bit more polished and able to communicate better. And but yeah, the spotlight's been on him, and he's hard to miss. He's so big.
Yeah.
He's going to draw attention no matter what role he's in. And I know there are some people yesterday who were saying, "Oh, he should be a closer." Not this year, not yet. He probably would be really good at that job, but he has a chance to be an excellent starting pitcher. And just the finances of the game, you gotta let that one play itself out, kind of like you do have to do it lighter. So yeah, just kind of, I'm sure he went to bed last night or took a shower, let it roll down the drain, and back at it today.
Yeah, it was Banny, wasn't it, that said wash it off? Just wash that one off.
Yeah, and Wash used to say that one too.
Did Wash say that too?
Yeah,
okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
So anyway, he'll be fine. And the reality is, as far as that move him to closer types, thought or talk right now. Look, he has no interest in moving to closer right now. None of these guys do, because the reality is, at this point in the game, you can still get $40 or $50 million a year as a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
And there is not a closer in the world that's ever going to get that.
No. And, starting, you're in control of the game. 5 days a week, the ball's in your hand every play as long as you're in there. And you can carry your team and put him in a position. And I just, I don't understand why people are so quick to give up on prospects either. And you talk about Jack Leiter, 2021 draft, that was 4 years ago, but he's only in his fourth professional season, and he went to the big leagues in his third professional season. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's faster than a lot of guys get there. So don't give up on these guys. Everybody comes at their own pace, and so it's just their pace may not meet expectations of a number 2 draft pick or a number 2 overall pick or a number 3 overall pick as Rocker was, but they're coming. And when they do, there's going to be opportunities this year, and maybe breaking camp on the roster, or filling as a spot starter, or when somebody gets hurt, or just being so good that you replace somebody in the rotation. All these things are possible, and then next year the Rangers could have to replace 2 starting pitchers, and so there are 2 opportunities right there. And depending on what the Rangers' needs are, depending on who's available in free agency, they may want to say, all right, it's time for our young guys. We need to invest elsewhere.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's the future, right? That's Kumar Rocker. That's Jack Leiter. And again, in the case of Leiter, we still do believe, and he's still competing, as we mentioned the other day. He came out firing in his first spring training outing, but he's still pitching in an attempt to make the starting rotation this year. And if he becomes a bullpen piece, again, in this scenario, that doesn't destine him to bullpen activity for the rest of his career.
Exactly.
Again, if they made him the closer this year, maybe it would. But if he's in that Dane Dunning, sort of one of those other bridge guys, the guy that's going to be used for piggybacking, a guy that's going to be used in a more long role, he'd easily be able to stretch out even this year, and certainly for future seasons, to be a starter again.
Oh, yeah. Look, Derek Holland made his major league debut as a reliever. And Derek was a pretty good pitcher there and some pretty good Rangers teams. C.J. Wilson was a reliever who became a starter. Yeah. So, it's not impossible, and these roles aren't settled. And you look at across baseball, you're seeing relievers who are turning into starters. Clay Holmes, that's the one. Clay Holmes, and last year the Giants did it with the kid from the Cardinals Hicks, who can throw it through a brick wall. It happens. You try to maximize value of what you have, and I just think that anybody who gives up on a guy this soon is doesn't really understand that development can take time from player to player, and at some point it'll click. And then if it doesn't click, okay, then you can make changes. But it looks like it's clicking for these guys.
Also got to see Emiliano Teodo and Winston Santos yesterday, and both, again, you really can't make too much of their outings because, even the manager doesn't want to. When Bruce Bochy was asked about each of their performances afterwards, it was more like, yeah, look good. Yeah. There's not a lot of stock put in it. It's nice, though, to put them in that fire and just see how they respond.
I think you kind of look at that more right now than you do the stuff. How do they feel coming into a game against a team? I know it's spring training, but the Royals are destroying the ball right now. They're just smoking out. They're 4-0, I think. So they're really good. And these are games that these guys have maybe been in as a just-in-case guys, but not as members of the 40-man roster. So, yeah, you want to see how they handle it. And Santos, pitched 2/3 of an inning. I believe he came in relief, which is not something he does.
No.
So you kind of look at how they handle the situation and how cool they are. And, they'll get other opportunities here the rest of camp before minor league camp starts and some decisions are made on if they need to go be reassigned to minor league camp and start working on their getting on their routine and get ready for their AAA season or AA season, wherever it may be. So that's good to see. The Rangers had 12 pitchers yesterday, John. I'm glad I wasn't there for that. Good Lord.
12
pitchers.
In a 9-inning game? In one game? Wasn't a split squad.
12 pitchers.
Good heavens. That's why Santos only ends up with 2/3, right?
Yeah.
All right, you're done. Get out of here. Go. Hit showers. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot in one game. I'll tell you what, I imagine, I don't know for a fact that that our buddy Jared Sandler and Matt Hicks were doing that game somewhere, but boy, it's hard for an announcer too.
Yeah.
Well, who's pitching now? Oh, wait, who's pitching now?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I'm glad I missed that one.
Yeah, that one's not one that you necessarily write home about, not one that you necessarily remember, but it is worth talking about and investigating a little bit deeper today. Next up, though, we talk a little bit about one of the new guys. In fact, the first new guy that the Rangers chose to sign this offseason, his impact thus far, and also get you ready for today's game that will likely be maybe a little less forgettable. That's next on the DLLS Rangers Podcast. First, though, I heard from Nicole again,
oh, good.
my buddy at Game Time, and let me just see.
How's she doing?
She's great.
Good.
Yeah, and she wanted to remind me. Well, and she probably knows. Okay, so I got to be honest. One of the guilty pleasures around the Radigan household is The Voice.
Oh, The Voice.
Like The Voice. And
okay.
now this year, I'd heard of her, but I never really knew her. This Kelsey Ballerini.
I know the name.
She's one of the judges, and she's a country music singer, star type person in her early 30s. A very sweet-seeming person. I love to get to know some of these judges' personalities. They're big music stars. And anyway, she's coming to, where is she coming again? Oh, the Dickies Arena.
Dickies there for Worth.
Tomorrow or tonight.
Woo!
Tonight. So you could get those tickets on Game Time for as much as 60% off tonight. Kelsey Ballerini, so many other musical acts coming. Nessa Barrett, JoJo. I like this. You can go as far down as the Factory in Deep Ellum and get tickets from Game Time. It's a venue that's that small, relatively speaking. GameTime.com. Use the code DLLS, $20 off your first purchase.
Do you ever see people at concerts wearing sunglasses?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, well, I wonder if that's one way to use your shady rays.
Right.
Although today, man, it's brilliant sunlight. So you definitely need your shady rays. We're in a heck of a stretch here. When I got back Friday night, it was cold, and Saturday morning at the complex, all the parents were like, "Oh, why don't you bring that nice weather with you?" I said, "It's a couple days behind me."
Yeah,
and sure enough, it has arrived. It is sunglasses weather, and Shady Rays is your place to get durable, affordable, and just excellent looking sunglasses. So if you go to shadyrays.com, use the code DLLS, you get 35% off polarized sunglasses.
Wore mine today. I'll wear them on the way home, too. I'm a big fan, as you well know. Let's talk a little bit about that first free agent that the Rangers signed. And the first free agent that, it sounds like this guy they had targeted, Jeff, from the very beginning. And he was quick to point out on the show when we had him on the show right after the signing that, he said, I felt so wanted. The Rangers reached out to me day one, like the first day that free agents could be talked to. Mm-hmm. The Rangers called Kyle Higoshioka.
Yeah, they had a little bit longer this time around to target some guys and really take a deep look at it as opposed to the previous offseason. But they were still able to do their work during the playoff run to get ready for free agency. They came out of the chutes and firing and called him day one or called his agent day one and said, "Hey, Kyle's the guy we want," and then kept backing it up and made him feel wanted. And so you get that sense that's a big Chris Young thing. Get out in front of it, tell them we want you back, or we want you back, whatever it is, and stay on it. Be persistent. Make sure you're in their mind when they're considering teams. They're like, oh, yeah, the Rangers, they sure seem to like me, and that makes them feel good. Anyway, Kyle is a pretty good guy. He's bigger in person than he looked on our show. Uh-huh. And just a good guy. He seems to really fit in well and have a bunch of energy. And the reason the Rangers wanted him is, as we've talked about, less of Kyle or less of Jonah Heim could be more productive. And Kyle is coming off a career year with 17 home runs. The Rangers think the swing change he made, which was closing his stance, will continue to will persist. Yeah. They don't think it's a fluke. How about that?
Yeah.
And Heim, as we talked about, Andrew Kisner just wasn't good enough last year as a backup. So Heim had to play a lot, and he was tired and all that stuff. So if you have Heim in a smaller sample, maybe 400 at bats, maybe 350, then it could be more productive. Legs will be fresh, maybe more mentally sharp for at bats later in the game. So there's a lot of good to come from this combination. And the Rangers, right off the bat, Ross Fencermaker said, yeah, it's a 50-50 split. Now that's our plan. Now one of them may emerge, especially in September. One may emerge who Bruce Bochy doesn't want to live without, catching starters in big games or however it may play out. But it's an interesting spot to be in. They haven't had this for a couple of years.
Yeah, and we saw Jonah do exactly that in 2023. He came back from an injury like in August, and then he still was able to be healthy, and he might have needed surgery, but he ended up not needing it, and he was still healthy enough and well enough to play, catch every game pretty much in September and certainly in October. He did that. So, we know Jonah can do that, and we're quite sure that Kyle Higoshioka could too if that became what Boch thought was the better play and the better plan for a team that's making a push toward the playoffs.
Yeah, and another thing that Bobby Wilson pointed out when he was on the weekly podcast during the offseason is that when Jonah was really good in that September, he had two veteran catchers, Mitch Garver and Austin Hedges, kind of able to guide him and give him feedback, and Jonah could bounce ideas off of them and what he was seeing, and so he had a better support system. So Higoshioka, like we said previously in previous shows, spent a long time in the minor leagues. He's been in the playoffs almost every year in his career, and he's really solid defensively. So you're talking about a guy who's seen a lot of stuff and might have a pointer for Jonah at a certain point and might be able to answer a question that Jonah has and vice versa. So the catching situation seems to be in pretty good shape. On paper, it looks really good. If you can get 25, 30 homers from your catcher, you're putting yourself in a really good spot, probably top 5, top 10 for sure in baseball to have that kind of production. And if the Rangers can get that, they needed to upgrade their catching production. Jonah Heim needed to be better, and they think they're on their way to accomplishing that.
Yeah, and that's what a good buddy of mine who's a big baseball fan I bumped into yesterday, and he's admittedly every year he doesn't pay that close attention to what the team does in the offseason. But once the season starts, he's on board, and he's a good fan. He understands the game, all that. So he said to me, why should I expect the team to be better? And I said, offensively. And I said, well, Jock Peterson, Jake Berger. He goes, there were a lot more holes than that last year. And I go, well, really the only one you're counting on to just be better is Adolis, because we believe that Jonah has an advantage right toward getting better. Health and, of course, and rest. He just won't be worn down as much. So I feel like Jonah, let's call it a springboard, right? Jonah has a springboard to being better. And in this case, of course, we're counting on Adolis, and he's done the work. He stayed here. He was a lot different, but we're counting on him to be better as well.
Yeah, and then throw in Josh Young being healthy.
Yeah, just healthy. Yeah.
And then Evan Carter also being healthy.
Yep.
And you're just looking at a different lineup, and more production. And I'm still, of those four, I guess, the Young, Garcia, Heim, Carter still remains kind of the question mark,
sure.
At least in my mind. So we'll see how it all plays out, but he's healthy. He's playing a lot. He's playing center field. So everything looks to be trending the right way. He has improvements to make. He's a young player, but the offense should be better just on that alone. But Higoshioka is a big piece of that puzzle.
Yeah, and he seems to be a really willing maybe not, again, it's always when you're comparing anybody to the mentor-teacher that Nathan Eovaldi is, maybe not there, but he has long conversations with pitchers after their bullpens or after their start. He's really another set of eyes, another coach almost out there, which most catchers are, especially veteran catchers.
Yeah, and they don't always catch bullpens depending on where they are during the season, where they are during the recovery process and stuff like that. But they're in on every meeting with the starters and pitchers meetings, and a big part of it. And while Mike Maddox leads those, Mike's not afraid to get feedback and welcomes it. And if a catcher has something, then they will break down starts before every game. The catcher, the pitching coach, and the starting pitcher meet before every series. There's a big meeting. But then, at the day-to-day, there's those meetings between the catcher and the starter just to get a feel for what they want to do and what they've seen and all that stuff. And between innings, they talk. So, I mean, there's a constant line of communication. And it's about, that's the catcher's job, is to get the starting pitcher through the game, manage the pitching staff, know when to go make a visit. If you guys can't get on the same page with the pitch calling, then call time and go out there, use a mound visit and get it straightened out. Don't wait until the middle of an inning. An inning might get away from you, so get out there and do it. And I think that Jonah's at a point now where he feels comfortable doing that. There's no question that Kyle does. So it just seems like the catching situation is going to benefit a lot of people, not just the two catchers themselves.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And they got the limit on mound visits now, but I swear I never remember a team anywhere, and certainly not the Rangers, running out, right?
I think it's happened once. I think I remember seeing it happen
one
once.
time. Yeah. Very good. So both catchers are actually in the lineup today. Let's take a look at the lineup, the batting order for today's game out there in Surprise, Arizona. And you see there, Heim is in there at catcher, and Higoshioka is in there at designated hitter. How about Jock Peterson starting at first base today, Jeff? This is baptism by fire in a way.
It is. And kind of the other day I watched him take some ground balls, and it could have been better.
Yeah.
But it made me think, speaking of Wash, early in my career on the beat, they were trying to, somebody similar to Jock, trying out first base, see if they could do it. And I remember talking to Wash as they were doing infield drills. I was like, Wash, how's so-and-so looking at first base? And Wash said, like a monkey effing a football. So it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
But he meant it as a compliment. Yeah.
He did not mean it as a compliment. So that came to mind as I was watching Jock take ground balls. But it's a work in progress, and there's a commitment to doing it on his part, and he's taking grounders every day, so it's going to get better. And we'll see how it goes today. You never know how bad your first baseman is until a couple balls are hit to his left or right that ordinarily you expect a first baseman to get, or if there's a throw that's in the dirt that doesn't get scooped that ordinarily should get scooped. So we'll be this is one to follow. I mean, Josh Smith played first base yesterday, so I don't think they're definitely not sold on Jock Peterson as the primary backup at first base.
No, and it's something that they realize you might as well try him there, obviously this time of year when the games don't count, because the reality is now, especially with Kevin Pillar in camp, the need for extra outfielders is lessened. And I saw somebody from MLB.com or something rate a dark horse to make every team in the majors, and his selection for the Rangers was Kevin Pillar. Right. And we kind of feel like there may be a little wink, wink, nod, nod thing going there. He does not have a major league contract. It's a minor league with an invite to spring training. So they would have to create a spot on the 40-man roster in order for him to make the club. But, he's a pretty accomplished guy who hits left-handers very well and could really, if need be, serve as a platoon piece for either Carter or Taveras, neither of whom have proven that they can hit lefties.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, to us, I don't think it rates as a dark horse. Maybe nationally,
that's right.
It does. I don't know who my dark horse would be. I'll give you one, and I'm a little biased, I think, but Robbie Ahlstrom, left-handed reliever, has been excellent. He's caught a lot of people's eyes. He's tossed 2 scoreless innings this spring. he added a split finger, and during his live batting practice, he threw it to Marcus Semien, and Semien just whiffed on it. And I talked to Marcus about it afterwards, and Marcus said, "Yeah, I need to talk to Nathan Eovaldi about teaching these guys how to throw split fingers because it was pretty good pitch." And I know Mike Maddox likes Alstrom. Mike always likes those change of pace guys, and so while Robbie doesn't light up the radar gun necessarily, he can, but he has a lot of deception there and a lot of good off speed pitches. So there's a dark horse.
I'm going to stick with my dark horse that I said before camp, and I haven't seen him yet, and I don't think we've talked about him from when you probably did, but I still say Jesse Chavez might surprise some people. He's just got that pedigree, that background, that history, that bulldog in him, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy.
I don't remember who I picked.
You don't?
I don't.
I'm trying to remember. I can't either. We'll think of it.
Yeah.
Prophet will find it, or we'll archive the shows and figure it out. More coming. As we get to the American League West, again, different rankings, different ratings, and not all of them agree that the Rangers are the top of the West. Some of them do. Everybody seems to agree they're right near the top or at the top, and we talk about that next on the DLLS Rangers Podcast.
I think it's me, John, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's Saturday Neon.
Saturday Neon is one of our favorites. They're going to be my maybe top three once they get TCU added to their collection of colleges. Saturday Neon, for those not familiar, they make neon signs, not just neon signs, they're LED neon signs. So they're more durable than the old gas version, and they last forever, and they're more affordable. So it's a win-win-win. I guess that would be 3 wins. Couple college pals who came up with this idea, and they're really fun, and they'll custom make you one too. So again, Jeff is awesome, or John's bar, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can come up with a lot of ideas, and then they're gonna fix it up for you. So if you go to SaturdayNeon.com and use our code DLLS, you will get 10% off of your order.
Rad's Rockin' R Saloon.
Okay, that's a lot of R's.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Until the S.
Little alliteration.
Yeah.
Anyway, so don't forget about FOCO. When you type FOCO in on the computer, the autocorrect always makes it Coco. They think I've messed up. We don't need Coco this week. Last week you might have used and wanted a little Coco. This week it's all FOCO, man, all the time. Get some gear to mark your fandom, right? Let everybody know who you are a fan of, and you can get it in so many different ways, like the knickknacks and the trinkets that are behind us right now. You can get all kinds of different things, of course, wearables, hats, shoes, overalls, as we've said, gloves. So go to FOCO.com, and if you use the code DLLS at FOCO.com, you will get 10% off your order from FOCO.com with the code DLLS.
FOCO.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes we have to stretch to get right at 2 minutes. We did it, by the way.
Yep, made it.
With that last FOCO.com from Jeff. So good save.
Thanks.
AL West, Prophet, we didn't talk about this one before. Did you get that long panel of all the teams in the American League West? Yeah. So let's show. Oh, wow.
Here we go.
Oh, so just take a quick look at that and read it. Okay. Basically, that is the roster of each team as the fan graphs and a bunch of people have predicted it. You see, Brooks Gate is the author, I guess, of putting all the information together.
The tweeter.
And what it says down there is that the Astros have in this prediction would win the American League West by 1 game. I think it was, I can't see it either, but was it 86.5?
86.5
is their over-under
85.5,
and the Rangers are 85.5.
Mariners,
Yeah.
71.5 Angels, 71
Mariners are just
A's.
behind them. Yeah.
Well, you can look at the Mariners pitching staff, and it's deep, and good. It was one of the best last year. It's going to be one of the best this year. But I kind of got a kick out of this one, John, when you put it in our text group there. It's kind of like, all right, stack them up position by position, and who's better? Catcher, Mariners, Cal Raleigh.
Yep.
Cal Raleigh can play. First base, I think first base is kind of a toss-up. I'd say right now, just maybe Christian Walker.
I would think Christian with a slight edge.
Yeah. Second base, Simeon. Shortstop, Seager. Third base could be Young, could be Isak Paredes. So Rangers in good shape there. Left field, Altuve, which, offensively probably is maybe an advantage, but you got a Rosarina who's good coming off a bad year. Of course, Wyatt Langford, guy can play. We all know that. Center field, I think it starts with Julio Rodriguez with the Mariners.
Yep.
Over Joe Adell. J.J. Bleday had a pretty sneaky good year for the A's last year. Right field, Adolis, and now Mike Trout. If he's healthy, pretty hard. And Lawrence Butler, a good young player for the A's. DH, I still think Yordan Alvarez is a better DH than Jock Peterson, but the Rangers have definitely upgraded there. Jorge Soler with the Angels, let's not lose track of that guy either. And Brett Rooker, the A's.
Yeah, the A's.
And you've heard of Mitch Haniger for the Mariners. That's going to be a platoon situation. Rotation-wise, Jacob deGrom, the best number one. Sorry, Logan Gilbert. That's a pretty. Framber's good, but the Rangers hold up well in the rotation. The one thing I would nitpick on this list is that they didn't have Luke Jackson as one of the 5 Rangers relievers. I would replace Hobie Milner with Luke Jackson. So I think that you look at that group, it's all 4 righties and Robert Garcia, a left-hander. They have Chris Martin as the closer, which I think we're all kind of,
anticipating.
But Josh Hader, Andres Munoz, who's a heck of a pitcher for the Mariners, Kenley Jansen, Mason Miller. The Rangers are probably 5th out of 5 in the closer department in the West based on this right now. And again, that's concerning to a lot of people, and the Rangers just have to figure it out. They're not going to sign anybody, obviously, and there's not a lot left, so they're going with what they got.
Yeah, and as we just went through that comparison, I think in this case, again, the chart and the FanGraphs projection said that the Astros would win the West by 1 game, and we only gave the edge to the Astros in 1 position.
2
out of 9. Oh, what was the second one?
DH and first base.
Oh, okay, yeah. DH 2. Yeah, that's right. Okay, all right, 2. And we for sure the Rangers had second base and shortstop.
Maybe third.
Probably third. I think
maybe left is probably
a toss up. But I think that there's no doubt Wyatt Langford has the upside, the potential to be the best by far.
Yeah. So anyway, and then rotation, if it's not the best, it's second best.
Yeah, it's tough to beat that. That Mariners rotation is extremely deep too.
Yeah, and just where the Astros are in terms of injuries and stuff.
Yeah,
maybe it gets better, but right now, Rangers are gonna be good. All right.
Right. Yeah. No, and it's how my brain works too on that. It's like, and maybe it'll change if the Mariners start, winning and going to 5 or 7 ALCSs or whatever, right? Like the Astros did. But my default is always, I don't care about any of these other sons of guns. I just want us to be better than the damn Astros,
Right.
And it's hard to say. It'll be what it'll be. It'll all play out as it's supposed to. The last couple years, even as good as the Rangers were in 23, essentially they weren't better in the division than the Astros.
Yeah.
Overall, they were better.
Yeah.
Not in the division.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they went to Tampa. So anyway, it's always fun to look at this division. I think it is going to be a really good year for this division because we know what Wash is going to do with the Angels, right? They're going to be better. They're not going to challenge to win the division.
Right.
But they were like a 2-foot putt last year. They really were.
Yeah.
The Athletics started slow and then really got good. A lot of that young talent came around, and now they've gotten serious about it in this offseason as they've started, signing free agents and things, the likes of which we never see the Athletics do. And I think that they're trying to, really make a case for we're going to be a good team when we get to Vegas.
Yeah, and some of that is their spending, is kind of dictated by where they are in the small market clubs who get the money, so that they get it to spend. They have to spend it, and that's kind of what they haven't done. And again, they didn't sign anybody too flashy.
No,
but Luis Severino, that surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
That upgraded their pitching staff. They extended Rooker, made some other signings along the way. Now they overpaid a little too, and some of that was because somebody was calling it a Sacramento tax. You got to pay a little bit more to make these guys want to play in a minor league ballpark. But they'll be better. So yeah, the division, even if the Astros aren't as good as they've been in the past, it could be tighter. It could at least be like it was in 23 when you had 3 teams that could have won the division or made the playoffs on the last day of the season. So again, we got a long way to go, and there are going to be lots of ebbs and lots of flows. And you saw the Astros really didn't pull away with the division until right after the trade deadline last year. That's kind of when they went on 7, 8, 9 game winning streak, something like that. Well, everybody else was circling the drain, and they ended up winning it pretty comfortably. But there weren't any great teams. The Mariners are still flawed offensively, and they didn't really make that many additions this offseason. So they're going to try to win with pitching, which they can do. But at some point, that's going to catch up to you. And if you can't score runs in your home ballpark, you're going to have problems. It's just an inherent disadvantage if you can't outscore an opponent at home, because there are going to be days when you have to do that. Games that you should have a chance to win. I just am never going to buy Mariners stock.
Yeah, no, it's really hard to.
Yeah,
really hard to. They finally broke that drought, which was the longest in sports, in the 4 major sports, and then they did it 1 year in a row. Right. So I don't know if there's much to that. I will say, going back to the Astros for a second, my friend and former intern Julia Morales posted a picture on one of the socials today of Jose Altuve's glove.
Yeah,
it's
I saw
an
that.
outfielder's glove. Right. And he said, I'm not an infielder anymore. Look at the glove, right? I mean, he's buying in. Did you realize, until I read something this morning, I didn't realize just how bad he'd gotten as a second baseman.
Well,
I mean, he was never great, right?
The throwing was an issue. So that was the big thing that was seen publicly. But if you go back to that ALCS, that little booger made some good plays.
He can make a play on you.
He really
did. Big picture, his numbers were down.
Yeah, the numbers are down. So you put him in left field. We're probably that's always the joke that the worst kid always played right field.
Yeah,
I think the worst player always plays left field in the majors. Although some of those balls are hard to catch. You'll hear some outfielders say that left field is the hardest position to read fly balls, but the throws are usually shorter, and you don't have to have a great arm to be out there. And left field can be tricky in that ballpark, whatever they're calling it now, Daikon.
I can't remember.
Whatever.
Enron.
Japanese shipping company.
Enron.
How about Astros ballpark?
Yeah,
we'll just call it that. But yeah, it's a decline, and if it's bad enough that the Astros are moving him away, then that tells you something.
Especially when it's Jose Altuve, right? Because I mean, again, this is the heart and soul of those teams. It really is. Those World Series teams and those teams that have gone to the ALCS so many times. He's the heart and soul. And look, I mean, we had working out there at our place, we had a fan a huge Astros fan in the 2023 ALCS, and was it Game 5 when Altuve hit the home run? Yeah. When Altuve hit the home run in Game 5, and I was there, and then I came and saw her at work the next day or something, and I'm just like, I mean, obviously I'm rooting for the Rangers, but we're seeing greatness. We're almost privileged to be able to watch a guy like that come through in a situation like that.
Well, and he's so short. I mean,
he's small.
You just see this guy, and you're like, well, he can't hit the ball from here to the outfield grass, and then he's he's hitting 25, 30 home runs a year and stealing a bunch of bases and, swings hard, packs quite a punch.
He really does, and we hope that the Rangers can minimize said punch all season long because, we don't mind Jose Altuve having a good year, but we don't want it to happen against the Rangers. So here we go. More coming up. Cleanup segment is next. We've, of course, got a lot to clean up as spring training continues. I
think we have some questions, too.
Yeah, we got to get some questions. DLLS Rangers Podcast.
John, we're both wearing the merch today.
I've
got my jacket on. I'm still a little bit chilly. So I've got the Die Hard shirt on. You've got the Texas Chew, the classics from our collection.
Yep.
And now we've got our St. Patrick's Day shirts. And so if you like day drinking or drinking at any time, or if you're Irish, or if you just like green, and if you like leprechauns, I don't know. Anyway, go to store.allcitynetwork.com and get in the St. Patty's Day spirit with some pretty clever shirts. I'm certainly, it's a Monday this year, and the Rangers are off that day. So Sunday into Monday into the night game Tuesday, there might be some alcohol consumption in Surprise.
Oh yeah,
including the players. But you didn't hear that from me. It's the last week of the season, so maybe that's their last chance to really let loose before the fun begins. So anyway, store.allcitynetwork.com.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And what's not to love about leprechauns? I mean, you never know. That pot of gold thing might be true. So you got to honor that.
Yeah, you
bit.
do.
You know what else you got to honor is your desire to become a diehard.
Yep.
Because we got a special for you right now. I'm telling you, take advantage of it now. $48. It's our spring training offer. I don't even know, honestly, if it lasts all the way through spring training. It might. It might not. They don't tell us. So get yours today. As we've mentioned, it is $48 for all the content that is provided behind the paywall by, not only Jeff, but Sam and Tim and, Clarence, sorry. And of course, all of our writers. So we want you to go ahead and sign up. It's basically $1 a month after you get the free T-shirt. $1.08 a month to get all that great content from all our different writers. Become a diehard today. See how that goes. 200 every time.
God, we're good.
Just saying.
Sam's our live studio audience today.
Yeah, we got a
very exciting.
Thank you. I was going to say we got a very quiet studio audience over here.
He's working.
Sam.
He's a working man.
Yeah.
Beat writers never stop.
No, that's right. So Sam's just back from New Jersey, right? In New York. Yeah. Sam's been on the road. So anyway, let's get to this cleanup segment. And we'll start with this. It's fun. It's a fun way to start. Our old friend Josh Lewin on the call of a game when the automated ball strike system was invoked.
Good breaking ball. Just misses. Brett Sullivan going to challenge.
Ball call.
Brett has been expert at the ABS system. Ooh.
The call is surprisingly correct.
Oh, we told.
Oh, it's surprisingly correct.
Yeah, Mike Milkulski. I've been practicing his name now. I can't say it. Mike M. Had been overruled or a couple of times before that, so that prompted him to say it was surprisingly correct. My thing here, John, my takeaway was I don't think the umpires really care for this.
No, I don't. I don't believe that's. I don't believe that. I definitely believe that it's true. They do not care for it. It is pretty amazing if the technology is correct, and obviously somebody in Major League Baseball's office believes it is correct. But it's an inch.
Yeah,
they're measuring it within an inch.
Right.
The call was surprisingly correct. So
Mike Milkulski.
I think that the overall assessment of the ABS system thus far by the major leaguers has been good, right? It has been positive.
I think it's interesting. Terry Francona, who's managing the Reds now, said before game started that they're like opting out of it.
They're not even going to do it.
Why waste energy on something that's not going to be part of the game this year? And it's like, all right, I can see that, though it sure seems like it's going to be part of the game at some point in the near future. The Rangers tried it in the first game, and Alan Trejo tried it, the infielder in camp on a non-roster deal, and he was wrong. The pitch was, in fact, a strike at the bottom of the zone, and really it wasn't even close. I don't know what he was thinking, but whatever. I just wonder, there are guys who we can go down a list and name them who have huge strike zones.
Yeah.
They've got to cap it. I know it's like you get 2 challenges a game, but there are guys who you're going to be questioning 10 or 15 times a game, like Laz Diaz.
Yes.
So Angel Hernandez is gone.
Yep.
All right. Corey Blazer, who I've known since he was 8 years old, he has a big strike zone. They're just guys that who have big zones and aren't going to be slowing the game down. but maybe it'll make them better. I don't know. Maybe they'll be like, all right, I got to dial in a little bit.
Okay, don't bury the lead. So how have you known Corey Blazer since he was 8? Did you babysit him?
Well, no. He's from the same hometown I'm from, Arvada, Colorado, and my dad was an assistant baseball coach on his first baseball team. So I've known the Blazers. His dad was a really good high school umpire. So Corey comes by it naturally, but Corey was a pretty good baseball player and a good basketball player in high school. And just one day in spring training, it said Corey Blazer. I was like, son of a gun. I'll be danged. So I went down there and talked to him real quick after the game.
Funny. Yeah. My brush with umpire/baseball greatness was, of course, Bill Kunkel was an umpire back in the 70s and 80s, I think. And then the Rangers' first-round draft pick was Jeff Kunkel.
Yeah.
And Jeff and I, our sisters played on a softball team together when we lived in New Jersey. And I'll be damned if, Jeff and I used to go over and play catch and stuff like that.
Oh, that's fun.
And he was really good and I wasn't, but we didn't care at the time.
Yeah, sure.
And then all of a sudden we're here. I'm interviewing him. And we're like, hey, Jeff. So it's cool.
Misty's going to Arvada tomorrow, it says.
No way.
You should go to Randy's Pizzeria at 64th and Ward. It's my favorite pizza in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Misty is just following the trail of Jeff's tears.
Yeah. We might have to get the authorities involved on this one.
Do we need a restraining order, Misty? I'm kidding.
He was very nice. He did point out that he was a diehard, and I said, you know what? If I had a medal, I'd give it to you. And I wasn't able to give him a lot of time because I was trying to find somebody, and I thought I knew where they were, and they weren't there, and then I never was able to catch back up to them. But anyway,
okay.
Go to Arvada and have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea. It's a great place from what Jeff's told me. I need to go try that pizza, though.
Oh, my God.
So Roki Sasaki has not thrown in a Grapefruit League game yet, but he did throw in, it's kind of like a B game.
Yeah.
I've heard this one called a simulated game, but it's unlike any simulated game I've ever seen because there were hitters from an opposing team facing him. So Kyle Teel is one of the best prospects in the White Sox organization. He's a catcher. He's like their number 2 prospect, and he came over
crochet
in the
trade.
Crochet trade. Sox, that's right, from the Red Sox. And so Kyle Teel sees a pitch from Sasaki, and then Kyle Teel takes him deep on the second pitch. And I just have to think that these other young prospects are like, there you go, Sasaki. I got so damn sick of hearing everything about you all winter long. How's that? How's that taste? And, there's going to be a lot of that. I mean, again, this is a guy who's obviously going to be almost for sure going to be a good, great Major League Baseball player.
Yeah, sure.
However, it's not an established pro. There's still talk that Sasaki could start the second game of the season in that Tokyo series.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You're not facing prospects in that game, Roki.
Yeah, they leave pretty soon.
It's like the 18th and 19th.
So they're gonna have to get him a start in a Cactus League game. And I remember when Darvish came over, his first start was against the Padres, and it was kind of a windy day, but he made his start. And Will Venable Not a home run hitter.
Yeah.
Crushed a ball, hit it off the batter's eye there. So it was not a home run, but they have that tall batter's eye in Peoria Sports Complex. And so anyway, they scored a couple runs. So after the start, we go in, and it's very important. Have to talk to you about this, and how about your first inning, and what did you throw Venable? And he's like, fastball. Yeah, I don't think he hit it very well. so Will had heard that across the way and made comment. And then when he got hired, we saw him at the winter meetings, and I was like, I'll never forget that. He goes, that was all I had. He's like, I hit it hard. That was all I had. So that's pretty funny. But kind of a similar thought there. I'm sure.
I think
Rocky was like, Kyle Teel didn't get it that well.
Yeah, I think that though there is, even in the case of Yu Darvish, who didn't get anywhere near the constant publicity that Sasaki got in an offseason. He got some. He got a fair amount.
Yeah.
Nothing like Sasaki. And I think there's probably just a little bit of all these other players going, who the hell's this guy?
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be that, especially at the big league level. Like, what's he ever done? Let's show him, right?
Yeah. Well, I think there was some feeling that way with Ohtani, and he obviously became
he did. I mean,
fantastic player.
Yeah.
But time will tell. And again, I think he'll blow out at some point.
Okay. Kyle Finnegan signs with the Nationals. He's off the board now, and it's fine.
Yeah. Native Texan, Kyle Finnegan.
Yep. And he was a name that, would occasionally still get floated out there. But anyway, now we got like 5 minutes to get to questions. So let's go.
Good.
Yeah.
Questions. Natalie had one right off the bat. Who do you think the 3-hole hitter will be? I think it'll be Wyatt Langford. That's who I think it will be. Of course, he's still recovering from his little oblique thing when he said it's no big deal. Great. I think Wyatt Langford will be the Rangers' number 3 hitter this season.
And incidentally, update from Sean McFarland. I think Kennedy had this today, too. They talked to him, and he's returned to baseball activities.
Oh, good.
He's throwing. He's running the bases. He's not ready to get back out there yet, but, he's doing things that are, as we say, baseball activities. So we'll see Wyatt Langford out there sooner rather than later. Again, he had said previously, I don't even know why I'm sitting down. I'm not. I feel fine. Like this isn't. But the Rangers, again, abundance of caution.
And he gets it.
Yeah, everybody does. Yeah.
All right. Ooh, Dandy Randy Marsh. I like it. Have the Rangers said anything about Rocker's pitch mix StatCast? Seems to show he wasn't throwing his typical breaking ball yesterday. He does call his breaking ball, which everybody thinks is a slider, a curveball.
He calls it the curveball. I couldn't remember.
Rocker calls it a curveball. So I'm not sure. I didn't check out StatCast. I'll be honest. Until yesterday, there hasn't been a lot of Rocker talk.
No, I agree.
In spring training, and he's kind of been throwing under the radar, if you will. His bullpen sessions, because he's a younger player without a lot of service time, have been a little bit later in the day after some of the bigger guys have thrown, and maybe we've had to go sit up for a podcast or had to go to the bathroom or something after being on the practice field for an hour or two. So haven't seen a lot. We just know that the work has been good. They like the pitch mix, the fastball, breaking ball combination. But no, I can't answer that question for you, Randy Marsh, who is, without question, the best character on South Park.
Okay, yep. Very good. Dandy Randy. What's Benny got?
Benny. A couple years ago, Rangers opened Cole Reagan's open spring because of a significant jump in velocity. Which young pitcher seems to have made the biggest offseason improvement this year? Good question. I think the Reagan's thing just surprised everybody because he was, the 2 Tommy Johns, and it was a massive jump in velocity. We were like 98 from Cole Reagan's. Really? Yeah. Couldn't believe it. And I haven't seen one like that yet, at least not from a guy as high profile as Cole Reagan's is. But I think maybe there's some surprise that some of these guys they brought in on non-roster contracts, the big arms that they have, Pat Murphy throws at 98, and he's caught some people's attention. I think Cole Drake is throwing harder, although he's been down with a back thing. Maybe they're connected. I don't know. But I haven't noticed like just a massive one, or on the other end, a significant drop. But if Leiter is throwing 98 the first time out, that just kind of tells you where he is and how he feels. And he's hit 98 before, whereas Cole Reagans had never sniffed it. But that might be a good one. Andrew Malone, who do you think would be the candidate for removal from the 40-man? This one I thought all offseason would be Gerson Garabito, and by God, he's still around.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stick with that one.
Yeah.
I just think that they could get him through waivers. He was not pitching an organized ball for 2 years, and I know these scouts are good, and it doesn't take long for them to take notice of somebody. But I would think that Garabito could sneak through.
Okay. Well, that's it. We appreciate all your questions as always. You're chatting with us as always. We got 2 more days at noon this week. We can announce our guest for tomorrow. Yeah,
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, and somebody asked about this last week, and I neglected. Jeff was gone, and I neglected to answer, and I apologize for that. Somebody said, had Laura Stickles been on? Did I miss it? You didn't miss it. We were going to have her on, and then she had duties and had to go do work. So we are going to have Laura Stickles on tomorrow, the new Emily Jones, if you will. Emily's still going to be around some, but Laura's going to do the heavy lifting on the sideline reporting job.
Yep.
You will meet her, and I will too. Jeff's met her. I haven't met her yet. We'll all meet her tomorrow when she joins us at noon on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.